Thanksgiving at Sharon Whitmore's house always smelled like butter, cinnamon, and somebody else's expectations. Her front porch had a wreath the size of a tire, and the moment you stepped inside, you were hit with heat from the oven and the kind of forced cheer that makes your jaw ache from smiling too long. A Hallmark movie played on mute in the living room. A ceramic turkey sat in the center of the dining table like it had seniority. And Sharon, my mother-in-law, moved through the kitchen like a general in an apron, clapping her hands as if her grown children were still 12. Ryan, honey, move that chair. Linda, you can slice the rolls. Caleb, sweetie, wash your hands again. Caleb looked at me over Sharon's shoulder and made a face. 9 years old, freckle-nosed, too smart for his own good, and already learning which adults used kindness as a leash. I smiled back at him like everything was fine, because that was my skill now, smiling through it. My name is Linda Parker Whitmore. I'm 33. I live outside Columbus, Ohio, in a 3-bedroom house with white siding and an HOA that sends passive-aggressive emails about recycling bins. I work in healthcare administration, good salary, long hours, the kind of job that makes you great at spreadsheets and terrible at relaxing. I'm also the second wife. Ryan's first marriage ended quietly, painfully, the way so many do. No big scandal, just two people who couldn't stop hurting each other until they finally stopped trying. His ex-wife, Jenna, moved to Kentucky for work. Ryan got primary custody of their son because of Jenna's schedule and Ryan's support system, which, in Sharon's mind, meant Sharon got custody too. She never said it out loud like that. Sharon didn't need to. She wore it in her posture, in the way she corrected Caleb's grammar, in the way she accidentally referred to our home as Ryan's house, in the way she called me Linda dear, in that soft voice that sounds like sugar until you taste the bitterness underneath. I married Ryan knowing Sharon would be present. I didn't marry him knowing she would use our child as a control panel for our entire marriage. That Thanksgiving, I learned just how comfortable she was threatening me in her own kitchen. It happened while Ryan was in the garage getting the folding chairs. Sharon leaned close to me at the counter, where I was slicing rolls and trying not to get flour on my sweater. Her voice dropped, warm and private. "Linda," she murmured, "I heard you and Ryan had a little disagreement about money." I froze for half a second. Ryan and I had argued the night before, quietly in our bedroom, after Caleb was asleep, about whether we should refinance, whether we should take on a bigger mortgage so Ryan could cut back on overtime. It wasn't dramatic. It was normal married couple math. It was also none of Sharon's business. I kept my tone neutral. Ryan and I handled it. Sharon smiled like I told a funny joke. "Oh, I'm sure you think you did. But Ryan gets sensitive when he feels pressured." I didn't pressure him. "You're new to this," she said, as if I was new to adulthood. "Ryan needs peace at home. He's been through so much. And Caleb, well, Caleb needs stability. Do you understand what stability means, Linda?" My fingers tightened around the knife. "Yes." "Good." She patted my hand. "Then you'll stop pushing for changes. Ryan's job, Ryan's money, Ryan's choices. If you keep stirring things up..." She paused just long enough for the warning to land. "I'll have to tell my son." There it was, the line that always came with a smile. I'll have to tell my son. Like she was protecting him from me, like I was the intruder and she was the security system. My throat felt tight. "You don't need to." "Of course I don't," she said sweetly. "I'd much rather you behave like family." Then she turned and called out, bright and loud, "Caleb, come taste the sweet potatoes, honey." Caleb walked in, glanced at my face, and then looked away like he decided not to ask. Kids learn fast. I had promised myself I wouldn't fight on holidays. I had promised myself I wouldn't make Ryan choose between his wife and his mother in front of his son. I had promised myself I would be mature. So I did what Sharon counted on. I swallowed it. I smiled. I played along. We ate turkey and mashed potatoes. We laughed at a joke Ryan's sister Emily made about their dad's obsession with football stats. We watched Caleb stack olives on his fingers and pretend he was a monster. Sharon told a story about Ryan's kindergarten Thanksgiving play like it was a sacred text. And all night, every time Sharon looked at me, her eyes said the same thing: remember your place. On the drive home, Ryan was in a good mood. Caleb dozed in the back seat, his head bouncing gently with the turns. Ryan reached for my hand. Not too bad, right? I stared out at the dark highway and forced my voice to stay light. Not too bad. Ryan squeezed my fingers. Thanks for trying, Lynn. I know my mom can be intense. I wanted to tell him what she'd said. I wanted to tell him how she'd leaned in like a snake and used Caleb needs stability like a club. But Ryan sounded relieved, and I was tired, and I could already hear the response in his voice if I brought it up. Did she really say that? Maybe you misunderstood. You know how she worries. So I stayed quiet. That was the beginning of the worst year of my marriage. Sharon learned quickly what worked on me. She didn't yell. She didn't insult me outright. She didn't storm out dramatically. She used guilt and fear and that one perfect phrase: I'll tell my son. And every time she said it, she made it sound like a consequence I deserved. When Ryan and I disagreed about parenting, like whether Caleb should have a phone, Sharon somehow knew within a day and would call me. Linda, honey, Ryan is already worried you're too strict. Don't make him feel like his own home is a battlefield. If you keep this up, I'll have to tell my son you're making Caleb miserable. When I told Caleb he couldn't spend every weekend at Sharon's house because he needed time with friends and us as a family, Sharon showed up at our front door with a plastic container of cookies and a wounded expression. I guess you don't want me involved, she sighed. It's fine. I'll tell my son you're trying to cut his mother out. When I asked Ryan if we could spend Christmas morning at our house instead of driving to Sharon's at 7 a.m. like we were in a parade she was directing, Sharon sent Ryan a long text about family traditions and then called me afterward. I'm not accusing you of anything, Linda, she said, voice dripping with innocence. I'm just concerned you don't understand how much this means to Ryan. If you push too hard, I'll have to tell him you're trying to change who he is. Every threat had the same structure. 1. Make me the problem. 2. Position herself as the protector. 3. Remind me she had direct access to my husband's emotions. 4. Pressure me to comply. And it worked, because I hated conflict. I wasn't raised to be loud. I was raised to be functional. My dad was a long-haul truck driver. My mom managed a dental office. We weren't a dramatic family. We were a deal-with-it family. If something broke, you fixed it. If someone hurt your feelings, you got over it. So when Sharon started pushing, I tried to handle it the American way I'd been taught. Stay polite, communicate calmly, don't escalate. But Sharon didn't play by those rules. She played by the rules of leverage, and her leverage was my husband's guilt and my stepson's love. Caleb adored Sharon. She made him pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. She let him stay up late watching movies. She bought him small gifts just because. She showed up to his school events with a camera and a sweatshirt that said Grammy's boy, like she was claiming him publicly. Caleb loved her, and I didn't want to take that away from him, which is exactly why Sharon felt safe using him like a bargaining chip. I noticed the pattern after one particular night in March. Ryan and I had argued, really argued, for the first time since we got married. It started over something stupid. Ryan forgot to pay the electric bill on time. The late fee was $30. $30 shouldn't be the end of the world, but it wasn't about $30. It was about me doing all the invisible work of our lives. Appointments, school emails, groceries, laundry, budgeting, while Ryan floated through the house like a decent guy who didn't realize how much I carried. I said something like, "I feel like I'm the only adult sometimes." Ryan snapped back, "You act like I'm incompetent." The argument got louder. Caleb heard us. I saw his door crack open. I stopped immediately. I lowered my voice. I told Ryan we could talk later, but the damage was already done. The next morning, Sharon called me at work. Not Ryan. Me. "Linda," she said softly, "Caleb told me you and Ryan were fighting." My heart dropped. "Caleb shouldn't be—" "Don't blame Caleb," Sharon interrupted, still sweet. "He's a child. He was scared. He came to his grandmother because he trusts me." I gripped the phone. "We weren't screaming. We just—" "This is exactly what I worried about." Sharon sighed. "Ryan needs calm. Caleb needs calm. If you can't provide that, you're going to ruin everything. And I don't want to do this, but if it happens again, I'll have to tell my son what Caleb said." My ears rang. "Sharon, you're already—" "Honey," she whispered, "I'm trying to help you." Help me. That word. Sharon always framed control as help, manipulation as concern. I hung up shaking. That night, I told Ryan we needed boundaries. I tried to be careful. I tried to be fair. I said, "Your mom can't call me and threaten me every time we have an argument." Ryan looked confused. "Threaten you?" I swallowed. "She says she'll tell you things. She uses it to pressure me." Ryan frowned like he genuinely didn't understand. "She wouldn't threaten you. She worries. She's protective." I could feel my chest tightening. "Ryan, she literally said, 'I'll have to tell my son.'" Ryan rubbed his face. "Okay. Maybe she said it like that, but she means she'll talk to me. She's my mom. And I'm your wife." He looked at me, tired. "Linda, don't make me choose." There it was. The sentence that always shut me down. Don't make me choose. As if I was the one holding a knife to his throat, when Sharon was the one quietly carving up our marriage into pieces she could control. So again, I did what I always did. I backed off. I told myself I would handle Sharon better. I told myself I'd be smarter. I told myself it was temporary. Then May happened. Emily, Ryan's sister, graduated from nursing school. Sharon hosted a big family dinner to celebrate. There were balloons and a sheet cake and a photo collage on the wall like Emily had won an election. Ryan and I arrived with Caleb, who immediately ran into the backyard with his cousins. Sharon hugged Ryan, kissed his cheek, and then hugged me just long enough for the cameras. When we were alone in the kitchen, she turned to me and lowered her voice again. "I heard you're not letting Caleb stay over anymore on Fridays," she said. I blinked. "We're cutting back. He has friends and—" Sharon's eyes hardened. "Ryan stayed at my mother's house every Friday when he was little. It's tradition. It's family. Why would you take that away? It's not about taking anything away. Caleb needs his grandmother," she snapped, and then caught herself, smoothing her tone instantly. "I mean, he loves it there. It's good for him." I took a breath. "We're not stopping visits. We're just—" Sharon leaned in. "Linda, don't do this. Ryan is already sensitive about you trying to change things. If you insist on controlling Caleb's schedule, I will tell my son you're isolating him from family." I stared at her, my hands trembling slightly. "You can talk to Ryan without threatening me." Sharon's smile returned, slow and pleased. "Oh, sweetie, I'm not threatening you." Her voice dropped, almost playful. "I'm reminding you." That night on the drive home, Ryan got a text from Sharon. He read it silently, then sighed. "What?" I asked, my stomach already sinking. Ryan glanced at me. She's just worried you're overwhelmed. She says you seem stressed, and maybe you need more help. My mouth went dry. That's what she said? Ryan nodded. She wants to pick Caleb up more often. I could hear Sharon's voice behind his words like a ventriloquist. Pick Caleb up more often. Be more involved. Be more present. Be closer. Because the closer Sharon was to Caleb, the more leverage she had over me. I looked at Ryan. Did she say anything else? Ryan hesitated. She said she thinks you don't like her. I laughed, sharp and humorless. That's what she's worried about? Not that she's pressuring me? Ryan's jaw tightened. Linda, you're being unfair. She loves Caleb. I love Caleb, I shot back, but I'm not using him as a weapon. Ryan went quiet. Caleb hummed along with the song in the back seat, oblivious. I stared at the road, blinking back tears, and felt something shift inside me. I was tired of being the only one who saw what was happening. I was tired of being painted as unstable every time I reacted. I was tired of Sharon pulling strings and Ryan acting like he couldn't see the puppet show. So I did something I'd never done before. I started documenting, not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted proof. I bought a small notebook from Target, the kind with a floral cover and cheap paper, and I started writing down dates. May 12th, Sharon said, I'll tell my son you're isolating Caleb. May 27th, Sharon showed up unannounced and said, if you don't let me take Caleb this weekend, I'll tell Ryan you're controlling. June 3rd, Sharon called my work phone and said, Ryan doesn't like conflict. Don't make this a thing or I'll tell him. Every entry felt embarrassing at first, like I was collecting evidence for a trial I didn't want to be in. But over time, the pattern became undeniable, even on paper. Sharon didn't want peace. Sharon wanted power, and she wanted it through my marriage. By July, the pressure had escalated from annoying to dangerous. Ryan got offered a promotion at his logistics company, more money, more travel, longer hours. It was a big deal. We celebrated with takeout sushi and sparkling cider for Caleb. That weekend, Sharon invited us over for dinner. I knew better. I went anyway. She praised Ryan loudly in front of everyone, calling him my hardworking boy, like he was still 12. Then she turned to me and said in front of the table, Linda, this promotion will be hard on a marriage. Ryan needs support. You can't be sensitive. You have to be strong. I smiled politely. Of course. Sharon nodded like she trained me well. Then, later, when I was washing dishes, she cornered me near the sink. You'll encourage him to take it, she said. He wants it, I replied. You'll encourage him without complaining, she corrected. I looked up. I'm not going to complain. It's good for him. Sharon's eyes narrowed. Good, because if Ryan feels guilt about leaving Caleb more, he'll get resentful. And if you make him feel guilty, I will tell my son you're undermining his career. My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped a plate. I turned off the faucet slowly. Sharon, why do you talk to me like this? She blinked, then smiled like a teacher watching a student struggle. Because you forget, she said softly. Forget what? Her voice turned colder. That Ryan is mine first. I stared at her, stunned. She tilted her head. I raised him. I protected him. I got him through that divorce. I did, not you. You're just here now. My throat burned. I'm his wife. Sharon's smile was small and cruel. Wives come and go, honey. Then she patted my shoulder and walked away like she hadn't just said something unforgivable. That night, I cried in the shower where no one could hear. Not because I believed her, because for the first time, I understood she meant it. She truly believed she owned Ryan, and if she believed that, then she would never stop. The breaking point didn't happen with a scream. It happened with a Facebook post. Late August, Sharon hosted a family cookout. Burgers, corn on the cob, kids running around with sparklers even though it wasn't a holiday. Classic Midwestern end-of-summer stuff. I brought potato salad and a smile. Everything seemed normal until Emily pulled me aside near the laundry room, looking uncomfortable. "Linda," she whispered, "I just wanted to ask, are you okay?" I blinked. "Yeah, why?" Emily hesitated. "Mom's been talking. She told Aunt Denise you've been mean to Caleb, that you don't want him around." My blood went cold. "She said what?" Emily's eyes widened. "You didn't know?" I couldn't speak. My chest felt tight. Emily lowered her voice more. "She told Dad's side too, and Grandma. She said you're jealous of Caleb, and you want Ryan to have a new family." For a second, everything around me dulled. The laughter outside, the smell of grilling meat, the sound of kids shouting. My vision narrowed like my body was trying to protect me from the shock. Sharon had moved beyond controlling me privately. She was now attacking my reputation publicly, and she'd done it in the worst possible way, painting me as the evil stepmother. That narrative sticks like tar. It follows you. It makes people look at you differently. It makes your husband's family treat you like you're dangerous around a child. I forced myself to breathe. Who else did she tell? Emily bit her lip. Pretty much everyone. She said she's worried Caleb isn't safe emotionally. My hand started shaking again. "Did Ryan know?" Emily looked away. "Mom told him you've been stressed. He didn't want to argue. He just said he'd talk to you." I felt like I was being punched in slow motion. I'd been swallowing Sharon's threats to keep peace, and Sharon repaid me by poisoning the whole family against me. I walked back outside like my legs belonged to someone else. Sharon was at the patio table laughing with Aunt Denise, holding a lemonade like she was the queen of summer. When she saw me, her smile widened. "Oh, Linda, come sit. We were just talking about how hard motherhood is." My stomach turned. I sat down slowly, my face calm, my heart pounding. Aunt Denise smiled awkwardly, like she didn't know what to do with me now that I was there. Sharon reached out and squeezed my hand, performative. "You know, sweetie," she said loudly enough for others to hear, "if you're ever overwhelmed with Caleb, you can always ask for help. No shame in admitting you're struggling." I stared at her. "I'm not struggling with Caleb." Sharon's eyes glittered. "Oh, so you're saying I'm wrong?" Her tone was soft, but it carried a trap. If I said yes, I'd look defensive. If I said no, I'd confirm her lie. Ryan walked over then, carrying a plate. He glanced between us. "Everything okay?" Sharon smiled sweetly at him. "Of course, honey. We're just supporting Linda." Supporting? I looked at Ryan. "We need to talk." Ryan's brow furrowed. "About what?" Sharon's fingers tightened on mine. Under the table, she pressed her nails into my skin. Her voice stayed pleasant. "Linda, don't do this here." I turned my head slowly toward her. "Don't do what?" Her smile didn't move. Her eyes warned me. And then she said it, low and lethal, so only I could hear. "Don't embarrass yourself, or I'll tell my son you're unstable." Unstable. That word again. She'd already planted the seed with the family. Now she was watering it. My vision sharpened. Something in me hardened. Because if Sharon was willing to call me unstable, she was willing to take Caleb from me in Ryan's mind. She was willing to turn my husband against me using the one thing I love most in this family. That boy. I stood up. Ryan looked startled. "Linda?" I forced a smile. "I'm going to check on Caleb." I walked away with my skin buzzing, my mind racing. Caleb was by the fire pit, roasting a marshmallow with his cousins. He looked happy, safe, normal. I crouched beside him. "Hey, bud, you okay?" Caleb nodded, then glanced toward the patio where Sharon sat. He lowered his voice. Linda, Grammy told me something. My heart stopped. What did she tell you? Caleb's little face tightened like he hated saying it. She said, you might not love me the same when you have your own baby. I went still. The world tilted. Caleb, I said carefully, why would she say that? He shrugged, eyes watery. She said sometimes stepmoms want the real family, and I might have to live with her more if you and Dad fight. My mouth went dry. Sharon had gone directly to Caleb. She'd planted fear in him. She'd used the child as a weapon, not just against me, but against his own peace. I wrapped my arms around him. Hey, listen to me. I love you. I'm not going anywhere, okay? Caleb hugged me tight. His small fingers gripped my shirt like he was holding on to the only stable thing he could find. I held him and felt rage so clean it was almost calm. That was it. She had crossed the line. Not in my marriage, in my child's heart. That night after we got home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat Ryan down at the kitchen table after Caleb went to bed, and I opened my notebook. Ryan looked tired. What is this? Dates, I said. Things your mom has said to me. Things she's done. Ryan sighed. Linda, please don't start. I looked him in the eye. Caleb told me Sharon said I might not love him if we have a baby, that he might have to live with her if we fight. Ryan froze. She said that? Yes. Ryan's jaw tightened. Caleb might have misunderstood. My voice stayed steady. Did he misunderstand when she told Aunt Denise I'm mean to him? Did he misunderstand when she told your dad's side, I'm jealous of your son? Ryan blinked. She told them that? I slid my phone across the table. I'd done something else while we were at the cookout. After Emily told me what Sharon had been saying, I took a quiet walk to the side of the house and opened Facebook. Sharon had posted photos from Caleb's birthday months ago, ones I'd taken, and the caption read, "Grateful Caleb has family who will always be there for him. Kids need consistency." Dozens of comments underneath. Aunt Denise. He's lucky to have you, Sharon. Not everyone treats children right these days. Grandma Whitmore. You always protect him. A cousin. Some women don't understand what it takes to be a mother. None of them named me. They didn't have to. Ryan read the comments. His face shifted from confusion to discomfort to anger. Why would she? Because it works, I said quietly. Because you keep saying that's just how she is, and she keeps getting away with it. Ryan rubbed his temples. Linda, I didn't know. I leaned forward. You didn't know because she doesn't do it to you. She does it to me. And when I try to tell you, you think I'm exaggerating. Ryan opened his mouth, then closed it. I softened just a little. I'm not asking you to hate your mother. I'm asking you to protect your family. Us. Caleb. Ryan stared down at the notebook. What do you want me to do? My hands were steady when I answered. I want boundaries, real ones, and if she breaks them, there are consequences. Ryan swallowed. Like what? I said the sentence that felt terrifying and necessary. She doesn't get access to Caleb as a reward for disrespecting me. Ryan flinched. Linda, I held up a hand. Not punishment, protection. She used him to scare me. She put fear in his head. That is not love. Ryan's eyes were glossy now. He looked like a man finally seeing a wound he'd ignored because it was easier. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I'll talk to her. And he did. The next day, Ryan called Sharon and put her on speaker, per my request. My heart hammered. My palms sweated. Sharon answered bright. Hi, honey. Ryan's tone was firm but shaky. Mom, we need to talk about something. Sharon's cheer dimmed. What's wrong? Ryan cleared his throat. Linda told me you've been saying things about her to the family, that you told Caleb she might not love him if we have a baby. Sharon gasped, theatrical. Oh my God. Ryan, I would never. Ryan cut in, stronger now. Mom, did you say it? Sharon's voice turned wounded. I said children sometimes feel insecure. I was comforting him. I'm trying to protect him. From what? Ryan demanded. A pause. Then Sharon's voice sharpened, just slightly. From instability, from conflict, from a woman who doesn't understand what it means to be a mother. My breath caught. Ryan's voice dropped, dangerous. Don't talk about my wife like that. Sharon went silent for a beat. Then she shifted to her favorite weapon, guilt. I knew this would happen, she said softly. A son grows up and forgets his mother. Fine. If Linda wants to turn you against me, she can. But don't come crying to me when she ruins Caleb. My heart pounded. Ryan's voice rose. Stop. Just stop. You're not allowed to speak about Linda to anyone. You're not allowed to put things in Caleb's head. You're not allowed to threaten her with, I'll tell my son, like she's a child. If you can't respect my marriage, you don't get access to our home. Sharon inhaled sharply. So now you're threatening me? Ryan replied, steady and clear. No, I'm setting boundaries. Sharon's voice turned icy. Well, if that's how it is, I guess I'll have to tell the family what's really going on. And then she hung up. I sat there shaking, but something else was there too. Relief. Because for the first time, Ryan had heard it. He'd heard the edge beneath her sweetness. He'd heard the manipulation. He'd heard the threat. Ryan stared at the phone like it had bit him. I didn't realize. I took his hand. Now you do. For a few weeks, it was quiet. Sharon didn't call. She didn't show up. She didn't text Ryan except for vague, sad messages like, I miss my grandson and I hope you're happy. Caleb asked about her. We told him the truth in kid language. Grammy needs to be kind to everyone, and until she is, we're taking a break. Caleb nodded, but I could see the sadness in him, and that's what hurt the most. Sharon wasn't just hurting me. She was hurting Caleb. Then October hit, and Sharon made her move. It started with a phone call from my own mother. Linda, my mom said, sounding strange, did you have a fight with Ryan's family? My stomach dropped. Why? Mom hesitated. Someone from Ryan's side, your aunt-in-law, Denise, messaged me on Facebook. She asked if you're okay. She said you've been acting erratic and that Sharon is worried you might leave with Caleb. My vision blurred. She said what? Mom's voice tightened. Honey, what is happening? I sat down hard on the edge of my bed. My hands shook. Sharon had reached out to my family too. She was expanding the smear campaign, trying to isolate me, trying to make people see me as unstable and dangerous. And she was using the one accusation that could destroy me instantly, that I might leave with a child. I took a deep breath. Mom, listen to me. Sharon is lying. She's been manipulating Ryan and me. She used Caleb. We set boundaries. She didn't like it. Mom went quiet. So, she's retaliating. Yes. Mom exhaled. Okay. What do you need? That question, simple, loving, nearly broke me. I need you to not believe her, I whispered. Mom's voice was firm. I believe you. That night, Ryan got a call from his dad, Tom. Tom never called to chat. Tom texted about football scores and lawnmower brands. If Tom called, it meant Sharon had lit a fire. Ryan answered on speaker. Dad, Ryan said cautious. What's up? Tom's voice was strained. Son, your mother is upset. Ryan's jaw tightened. I know. Tom sighed. She says Linda is turning you against the family. She says she's worried about Caleb. She says Linda yelled at her and... Ryan interrupted. Dad, Mom has been threatening Linda. She's been telling people Linda is mean to Caleb. She told Caleb Linda might not love him if we have another baby. She crossed a line. Silence on the phone. Then Tom said quietly, Sharon said Linda is unstable. My stomach clenched. Ryan's voice was controlled. Dad, that's a lie. Tom hesitated. Son, I'm not taking sides. I'm just asking if everything is okay. Ryan looked at me. I nodded once. Steady. Ryan spoke clearly. Everything is okay. Caleb is okay. Linda is okay. The only issue is Mom refusing to respect boundaries. Tom sighed. She wants a family meeting. Ryan laughed once, humorless. Of course she does. Tom's voice lowered. Ryan, your grandma is worried. Your aunts are worried. Your mom is telling everyone you're being manipulated. If you don't show up, it'll look bad. Ryan's face tightened. He hated looking bad. He hated being the villain. Sharon knew that. That was why she did this publicly. So social pressure would do her work. Ryan looked at me again, silently asking. I could have said no. I could have protected my peace and refused the circus. But I'd learned something important. Sharon thrived in private, where she could twist words and make me look crazy. If she wanted public, I would give her public. I squeezed Ryan's hand. We'll go. Ryan's eyes widened slightly. Linda, I'm done being quiet, I said. If she wants a meeting, she can have one. Ryan swallowed and turned back to the phone. Fine, we'll come. Tom sounded relieved. Good. Sunday, dinner, 6. After he hung up, Ryan looked scared. What are you going to do? I stared at the wall, calm in a way that surprised me. Tell the truth. Over the next few days, I prepared like it was court. Not with drama, with facts. I printed screenshots of Sharon's Facebook post and the comments that implied I was a bad stepmother. I saved texts Sharon had sent Ryan, ones where she talked about me like I was an enemy. I wrote down Caleb's exact words from the fire pit conversation. And I did one more thing. I talked to Caleb gently. Hey, bud, I said one night, while we built a Lego set at the kitchen table. Do you remember what Grammy said about you living with her? Caleb's hands paused. He nodded slowly. Do you remember how that made you feel? His eyes dropped. Scared. I swallowed. If Dad and I talk about this with the family, would you want to tell them how you felt? Only if you want. No pressure. Caleb looked up at me, serious. I don't want Grammy to say that stuff anymore. My chest tightened. Me either. He thought for a moment. If she's mad at you, she's mad at me too, because I told you. I reached across the table and took his hand. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Adults are supposed to make kids feel safe. If an adult makes you feel scared, that's on them. Caleb nodded, but his face was tight. I could see the loyalty war in him already. Love for his grandma, love for me, fear of conflict. Children should not carry that. Sharon had forced it on him anyway. Sunday arrived cold and gray. Ohio in October always feels like the world is holding its breath. We drove to Sharon's house with Caleb in the back seat, quiet, holding his Nintendo Switch, but barely playing. Ryan gripped the steering wheel too hard. We can just keep it calm, he said. I stared ahead. Calm doesn't mean silent. Ryan swallowed. When we arrived, Sharon's driveway was full. Tom's truck, Emily's SUV, Aunt Denise's minivan, Grandma Whitmore's little sedan, a family summit. Sharon opened the door before we knocked, dressed like a church lady, cardigan, pearl earrings, lipstick that screamed, respect me. She hugged Caleb first, too tight, too long. Then she looked at me like I was a stain on her carpet. Linda, she said sweetly, I'm so glad you came. I smiled. Me too. Her eyes narrowed slightly. We walked into the dining room, and I saw Sharon had set the table like it was a holiday. Placemats, candles, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, a pie already cut like she planned the slices in advance. Everyone sat stiffly. Polite smiles stretched thin. Sharon took her seat at the head of the table like a judge. Tom sat beside her, looking uncomfortable. Ryan sat across from her. I sat next to Ryan. Caleb sat next to me. Sharon folded her hands. Before we eat, I just want to say how grateful I am for family. Family is everything, and when family is threatened, when children are affected, we have to address it. I felt my pulse steady. Here we go. Sharon looked at Ryan. Honey, I've been worried. You've been distant. Caleb has been distant, and I've heard Linda has been struggling. Aunt Denise nodded dramatically, like Sharon had already primed her. Emily looked down at her plate. Grandma Whitmore sighed. Children should not be around conflict, she muttered. Sharon turned toward me, her voice dripping with concern. Linda, I don't blame you. Being a stepmother is hard, but when you lash out, when you create tension... Ryan's jaw tightened. Mom, Sharon held up a hand. Let me finish, Ryan. This is important. She looked at the table like she was announcing a diagnosis. I think Linda needs help. I think she's overwhelmed. And I think, for Caleb's sake, we may need to consider spending more time with family members who can provide stability. There it was. The real goal. More time with Caleb. More control. I turned slowly and looked at Sharon. Can I speak? Sharon smiled. Of course, honey. We're here for honesty. I nodded. Great. Then let's be honest. Ryan glanced at me, anxious. I squeezed his knee under the table. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. Sharon's smile faltered. What is that? Receipts? I said calmly. Aunt Denise's eyes widened. Oh my... Sharon laughed lightly, trying to keep it cute. Linda, is this really necessary? It is, I said, still calm, because you've been telling people I'm unstable. You've been telling my family, you've been telling Ryan's family, and you've been using Caleb's feelings like a weapon. Sharon's face tightened. I have not. I held up a hand. I'm going to speak, and I won't be interrupted. Ryan agreed. Ryan swallowed and nodded. Mom, let her talk. Sharon looked at Ryan like he'd slapped her. I took a slow breath and started with the simplest truth. Sharon, you've used the phrase, I'll tell my son, to control me for months. Sharon blinked. That's ridiculous. I opened the notebook, not the floral one, but a fresh sheet where I'd copied the entries neatly. May 12th, I read. You said, if you keep isolating Caleb from family, I'll tell my son you're controlling. Sharon scoffed. I never said that. I looked at Ryan. Ryan, do you remember the night you asked me if I pushed your mom at Caleb's Nerf party because she told you I was harsh? Ryan's face reddened. Yes. Sharon's eyes flashed. I continued. June 3rd, you called my work phone and said, Ryan doesn't like conflict. Don't make this a thing or I'll tell him. Tom's eyebrows rose. You called her work? Sharon's voice sharpened. I was concerned. I was helping. I nodded like I was agreeing. That's your favorite word, helping. I slid the printed screenshot across the table toward Grandma Whitmore. This is your Facebook post, I said. The one where you implied I don't treat Caleb right. Grandma squinted, reading. Her mouth tightened. Aunt Denise leaned in. Sharon, why would you post that? Sharon's voice turned wounded. It was a general statement. I pointed to the comments. And you let your family comment things like, not everyone treats children right these days. You didn't correct them. You wanted them to believe it. Emily finally looked up, her eyes sharp. Mom, did you say Linda was jealous of Caleb? Sharon's face flushed. Emily, don't be dramatic. I turned to Sharon again. And then you told Caleb something that terrified him. Sharon's lips tightened. I did not. I looked down at Caleb gently. Caleb, you can say it if you want. No pressure. Caleb's hands trembled slightly. He looked around the table at all the adults. His eyes landed on Sharon, who stared at him with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Caleb swallowed. His voice was small but clear. Grammy told me Linda might not love me if she has a baby. And if Dad and Linda fight, I might have to live with Grammy more. The room went silent. Sharon's face went blank for half a second, like her brain couldn't decide which mask to wear. Then she laughed, sharp and fake. Caleb, sweetheart, you misunderstood. I would never. Caleb's eyes filled with tears. You did. Tom leaned back in his chair like he'd been hit. Grandma Whitmore's mouth dropped open. Aunt Denise looked uncomfortable, suddenly not so sure she wanted to be Sharon's chorus. Sharon turned to Ryan, panicked, shifting tactics instantly. Ryan, honey, you know children get confused. Linda is coaching him. Ryan's face changed, not anger, something colder. He looked at Sharon and said quietly, Mom, stop. Sharon blinked. What? Ryan's voice grew steadier. He's not confused. He's scared. And you did that. Sharon's eyes flashed. I was protecting him. From what? Ryan demanded, echoing the question he'd asked on the phone. Sharon's voice rose. From her. From instability? From a woman who... Who what? Ryan snapped. Who married me? Who packs his lunches? Who takes him to soccer? Who sits up with him when he has nightmares? Who loves him enough to set boundaries so he feels safe? Sharon's face twisted. You're blinded. Ryan shook his head slowly, like he couldn't believe this was real. No, I'm finally seeing. Sharon's voice trembled, but it wasn't sadness. It was rage that she was losing control. I sacrificed for you, she hissed. I carried you. I raised you. I held you when you cried over Jenna, and now you're choosing her over me. Ryan stared at her. This isn't a competition. You made it one. Sharon looked around the table, searching for support. Tom? Tom's eyes were tired. Sharon, did you really call Linda's mom? Sharon snapped. I was warning her. Linda is... Tom cut in, louder than I'd ever heard him. Stop calling her names. Everyone froze. Tom had spent years letting Sharon run over everyone because it was easier. But something about hearing their grandson say, I was scared, had snapped the last thread. Sharon looked betrayed. So now everyone is against me. I spoke softly, steady. No, Sharon. Everyone is against what you did. Sharon's eyes darted to me, hate sharp as glass. You planned this. I nodded. Yes. Gasps. Sharon looked triumphant for a second, like she'd caught me confessing to a crime. I continued, calm. I planned to tell the truth. I planned to stop protecting you with my silence. I planned to stop letting you threaten me in private and then play innocent in public. Sharon's lips trembled. You're humiliating me. I held her gaze. You humiliated yourself when you used a child's fear to control a marriage. Aunt Denise shifted uncomfortably. Grandma Whitmore stared at her hands. Emily's eyes were wet. Sharon tried one last tactic. She softened her voice, turned toward Caleb, and reached out her hands. Caleb, honey, Grammy loves you. Come here. Caleb flinched and leaned closer to me. The movement was small, but it was everything. Sharon's face broke, just for a moment. Rage, grief, disbelief. Then her voice turned venomous again, aimed at me. You think you've won, she said. You think this means you're in charge. I took a breath, and my voice stayed steady. This isn't about being in charge. This is about being safe. Ryan stood up slowly, pushing his chair back. The legs scraped the floor, loud in the tense room. He looked at Sharon. Mom, here are the consequences. Sharon's eyes widened. Ryan's voice was firm. You will not speak about Linda to the family. You will not speak about her to Caleb. You will not imply she's unstable. You will not threaten her. If you do, we leave. If you do, you don't see Caleb for a while. And if you do it again, it becomes longer. Sharon's mouth fell open. You can't do that. Ryan's eyes were steel. Watch me. Sharon looked at Tom like he would save her. Tom didn't move. She looked at Grandma. Grandma looked away. She looked at Aunt Denise, who suddenly found her napkin fascinating. Sharon's voice rose, frantic. This is my grandson, Ryan answered, unwavering. He's my son. Then he looked at me, something raw in his eyes. I'm sorry, he said, loud enough for everyone. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. My throat tightened. I nodded once, because if I spoke, I might break. Ryan picked up Caleb's jacket. We're leaving. Sharon stood too, shaking. Ryan, don't you walk out on me in my own house. Ryan paused at the doorway and turned back. His voice was quiet, final. You walked out on my marriage a long time ago, Mom. You just stayed in the room while you did it. The room went silent. We left Sharon standing there, hands clenched, her perfect dinner untouched, her power slipping through her fingers. In the car, Caleb exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. Ryan stared forward, jaw tight, eyes wet. I said softly, You okay? Ryan swallowed. No. I nodded. Me neither. Caleb's voice came small from the back seat. Is Grammy mad at me? My heart cracked. I turned in my seat and reached back to touch his knee. No, bud. Grammy is mad because adults don't like being told they're wrong. But you did the brave thing. Caleb stared at his hands. I didn't want to hurt her. Ryan's voice broke. You didn't hurt her. She hurt you. That was the first time Ryan said it out loud. Not, that's just how she is. Not, she means well. He named it. She hurt you. And naming it changed everything. The aftermath was messy, because consequences always are when someone has gotten away with control for too long. Sharon sent texts, long ones, crying emojis, Bible verses, accusations. I hope you're happy, Linda. You've stolen my family. Ryan, you'll regret this. Caleb will grow up and hate you. Ryan didn't respond. That was new. Emily called me a few days later. I'm sorry, she said, voice shaking. I knew Mom was saying things. I didn't realize it was that bad. I exhaled. Thank you for telling me. Emily hesitated. She's telling people you ambushed her. I laughed softly. Of course she is. Emily's voice turned bitter. She's also telling people Caleb lied. My stomach twisted. What did you say? Emily's answer was simple. I said I watched my nephew's face when he said it. Kids don't fake that fear. I nearly cried. Tom called Ryan a week later. Your mom hasn't spoken to me, he admitted quietly. She's furious. Ryan's voice was firm. Dad, I love Mom, but I won't let her do that again. Tom sighed. I wish I'd stopped her sooner. That apology, too, felt like a shift, like the whole family had been living under Sharon's weather for decades, and now someone had finally said, this storm isn't normal. Sharon tried to break the boundary in smaller ways. She dropped gifts on our porch. She sent Caleb a card that said, Grammy will always be your real home. Ryan threw it away before Caleb saw it. She called our neighbor, yes, our neighbor, and asked if Caleb was okay. Our neighbor, a retired teacher named Mrs. Jensen, told Ryan, and then asked me if I needed her to accidentally water Sharon with the garden hose if Sharon showed up. Americans have a special kind of neighbor solidarity when they see family drama. It made me laugh for the first time in weeks. Ryan and I started therapy. Not because we were broken beyond repair, but because we were finally being honest about the cracks. Our therapist, a calm woman named Dr. Patel, listened to the story and said something that stuck in my bones. "Your mother-in-law used triangulation," she said. "She inserted herself as the third point in your marriage. The only way to end it is for the married couple to become a united front, not in secret, in action. A united front." Ryan and I practiced it like a muscle. If Sharon texted me, I didn't answer. I forwarded it to Ryan. Ryan responded once, short, "Please respect our boundaries." Then silence. If Sharon told family members lies, Ryan corrected them directly. If Sharon tried to guilt Caleb through gifts, we explained to Caleb gently that love doesn't come with fear. It wasn't perfect. Caleb missed her. Ryan grieved the mother he wanted and the mother he had. But our home got quieter, not in the tense, fragile way Sharon called peace, in the real way, the kind where you can breathe. By Christmas, Sharon was still not allowed in our home. We did something new. Christmas morning at our house, pancakes and pajamas, Caleb opening gifts under our own tree, Ryan's arm around my waist while we watched him. Emily and Tom stopped by in the afternoon with cookies and awkward apologies that slowly turned into real conversation. And for the first time since I married into this family, I felt like I wasn't performing. I was living. On New Year's Eve, Caleb asked if we could FaceTime Sharon. Ryan looked at me. My throat tightened. Dr. Patel's voice echoed, "United front, action." Ryan knelt beside Caleb. "We can, but only if Grammy is kind. If she says anything scary, we end the call." Caleb nodded. Ryan called Sharon. "Put it on speaker." Sharon answered instantly, breathless. "My baby, my Caleb." Caleb smiled, shy. "Hi, Grammy." Sharon's voice softened. "Oh, honey, I've missed you so much. Are they treating you okay?" Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Mom." Sharon paused, then sighed dramatically. "I'm just asking." Ryan's voice stayed firm. "Ask him about school. Ask him about his games. Don't imply anything about us." A long pause. Then Sharon said, clipped, "How is school, Caleb?" Caleb chatted about a science project and soccer. Sharon responded appropriately, though her tone felt tight, like she was chewing on nails. Then, near the end, Sharon couldn't help herself. She said, "Grammy hopes someday you'll understand who really loves you." Ryan's hand moved instantly. He ended the call. Caleb blinked. "Why did you hang up?" Ryan's voice was gentle. "Because that sentence was not kind, and we said we would end the call." Caleb's face crumpled for a second. Then he nodded, swallowing his disappointment like a little adult. I hugged him. "You did great." That night, after Caleb went to bed, Ryan sat on the couch staring at the dark TV screen. "I always thought," he said quietly, "that if I just didn't upset her, everything would be okay." I sat beside him. "That's what she trained you to believe." Ryan nodded slowly. "And she tried to train you." I exhaled. "Yeah." Ryan looked at me, eyes wet. "Thank you for not giving up on us." I leaned my head on his shoulder. "Thank you for finally choosing us." He whispered, "I should have sooner." "Maybe," I said, "but you did." And that mattered. Sharon didn't disappear. People like her rarely do. They just lose access when the doors stop opening. By spring, she was still telling a version of the story where she was the victim. Some family members believed her, some didn't. The ones who mattered most, Ryan, Caleb, and the life inside our house, didn't. One Saturday in April, Caleb came home from soccer, sweaty and happy, and announced, "Coach said I'm getting better at defense." Ryan ruffled his hair. "That's my boy." Caleb looked at me. "Linda, can we make pancakes tonight too?" I smiled. On a Saturday? He shrugged. Pancakes make things feel safe. My throat tightened. Then pancakes it is, I said. Later that night, while pancakes sizzled on the griddle and Caleb laughed at Ryan's attempt to flip one in the air, I looked around my kitchen, the same kitchen where Sharon once leaned close and threatened me in a whisper, and I felt something heavy lift, because I understood the truth now. Sharon's power had never been real. It had been borrowed. It had existed only because we handed it to her every time we stayed quiet to keep peace. A marriage isn't something your in-laws get to manage, and a child should never be used as a bargaining chip. That spring, we kept our boundaries, we kept our routines, and we kept choosing each other, out loud, in action, every day. Caleb stopped flinching when the phone rang. Ryan started sleeping through the night. And I finally felt something I hadn't felt in that family for a long time. Welcome. Not because Sharon changed, but because we did. We chose peace that didn't cost me my dignity, and that's the kind of peace worth keeping.